just showing the lineup I ran in that last game, this is probably going to carry over into playoffs, but the minutes are subject to change. Since we had Josh Richardson injured, it's going to be set back to the default lineup by the time this video will come up. As you can see, Tyler Hero and Kevin Love are in the lineup to start the game instead of Robinson and Caleb Martin. And that's because Josh Richardson recovered from the migraine, as seen in the lineups earlier in this video. Now, since we're going to be on a back-to-back against the Detroit Pistons, this is going to be a Detroit Pistons special, as I will be discussing about the Pistons season and the many issues that they have been encountering during the past few years, especially with the amount of draft picks that they chose. Now, the season before, they had the number 1 pick. It wasn't exactly the season before, but 2 seasons before, I would say. And they picked Cade Cunningham. And he is their franchise player for the long term. But even he has been having some bad history, especially with the injuries. Last season, he missed a lot of the games. He didn't even play for much of last season due to fracture in his left shin. And it even went to the point where he needed to have season-ending surgery. So it was all in the hands of the other draft picks like Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren. Now, I do think Jalen Duren and Jaden Ivey are also great complementary pieces. The tougher part, however, is getting those pieces to work. This doesn't only apply to the Pistons, but to every other rebuilding team as a whole. So in this game, we were sagging off Ausar Thompson. We were running a 2-3 zone just so that we would dare him to shoot every single 3, because he still needs improvement, just like every young player in the NBA and in any other basketball league. Because you need to be a threat of some sorts. It doesn't only have to be in scoring or in passing. You could always contribute to other things like defense, and that is one of the strengths that Ausar Thompson has. In every single basketball game, you're going to need a lot of those basic fundamentals. You may have the skills required, but if you don't apply them in good ways or translate to wins, it's going to be useless. Like, let's say Jalen Duren and his rebounding. If he's getting a lot of rebounds, but the team is not making a lot of their second chance points, what's the purpose of it? Jaden Ivey's finishing ability, if he can't make a layup, what is the point of having athleticism like he does? His purpose of being in this team right now is to be the secondary creator next to Cade Cunningham, because Cade is their number 1 option. And if your number 1 option is being defended very hard like Cade is, you need your number 2 to step up. And that is a part of the development that Jaden Ivey needs. But earlier in this year, Monty Williams, the coach of the Detroit Pistons right now, he got hired in replacement of Dwayne Casey, who recently moved into the front office role just to continue the rebuild. He started Killian Hayes and put Jaden Ivey as the 6th man. And it had a lot of fans complaining about how Monty Williams is treating Jaden Ivey. Some people earlier in the year were like, oh, free Jaden Ivey, he deserves better than Monty Williams as the coach. Not helping matters is Monty Williams' history with favoritism. And it's apparent in his time with the Phoenix Suns as well. Abdul Nader was kept by them in the 21-22 season, when evident in the 2021 playoffs, Torrey Craig was the better option. And during the conference finals, Monty's insistence on playing Nader almost cost the Clippers the series. And as solid as Nader can be, he's just not as impactful as Torrey Craig can be. Because Craig can provide some moments of being the bruiser. He can get rebounds. He plays defense. Not as locked down as Mikal Bridges was, even though right now Bridges' impact on the defensive end has diminished by a lot of points due to his offensive production with Brooklyn. But Craig really holds his own a lot. And the favoritism thing blew up even more when Landry Shamet came to the Phoenix Suns. The same year they kept Nader over Craig. And that was when people kept making the comparison with Killian Hayes. Killian Hayes is the new Landry Shamet, or was the new Landry Shamet before he got waived by Detroit, just to provide more development time for guys like Jaden Ivey or even James Wiseman. And this is in a team where they have too many options in the bigs. Isaiah Stewart is their starting power forward right now, and Jalen Duren is playing the center. And that's because Stewart has perimeter shooting, so he can at least play in there. So as you can see, Thomas Bryant just attacked James Wiseman in that play. A lot of people were attacking James Wiseman. Funny enough, he's actually been impactful these days. Like, he hasn't had the best time in Golden State due to different priorities, and he needed a lot of development time, which sadly he couldn't get there, so he got traded to Detroit. And even he was controversial amongst Pistons fans, with their reasonings being, oh, this guy can't set screens, this guy can't get the rebound, waste of height, dunks are flashy, but that's not the reason why he didn't stay in Golden State, blah blah blah. And these are some of the complaints that Warriors fans have been having about James Wiseman, and they've been saying, oh, he's a big negative, he's not going to be impactful for any team, he's a bust. But that's ignoring the fact that he only played 3 college games. And it even had Pistons fans saying, oh, Muscala plays better defense. And Muscala's not even in the Pistons anymore. He signed back with Oklahoma City for their playoff run. And some teams are still trying to fight for a lottery pick. And I will discuss more of that in a future video, because I'm going to focus more on rebuilding as a whole, because today it's more about the Pistons. And watch this play right there. This is one of the reasons why Ausar Thompson is someone I'm high on. Look at his impact. He's getting all the offensive rebounds, and his defensive tenacity is something that the Pistons really need. A lockdown defender, and that's on a team where a lot of the players don't play good defense, especially amongst the guard players. Cade can play solid defense, but with his offensive workload, he's going to have to conserve a lot of that energy. And watch this play, watch Ausar Thompson again. It's supposed to be an alley-oop to Hawkins, but he just anticipated. That's a good move by him. And we're still daring him to shoot. He needs improvement on his jump shot. He makes it anyway. But he and Amen Thompson, their jump shot needs some work. They're gonna be sagged off a lot by teams, especially when they get scouted out. So that's the development they really need to make for them to be effective on the offense, because as much as their defense can be impactful, they also need to be as impactful on the offensive end. And Jalen Duren also needs to improve on his defense as well. He got the block on that possession, but some people are like criticizing Jalen Duren for his defense. They're saying, for a center, his defense is so bad. And this game's actually a lot better than the last game that we played against. This one's a lot closer come the fourth quarter. That first meeting we had for our back-to-back against them, it was not even close. and the game was already over by the time the third quarter ended. We blew them out the first game, and that's with all of our players in the rotation. Our second game, however, I played around the lineups, and I only put our bench players, well, most of the bench players, because our next game is going to be against the Sixers. It's a back-to-back as well, so our best players need some rest so that their energy can be preserved for the next game. And the Sixers in this MyCareer are, for some reason, the number 2 seed in the East, and they could actually be our conference finals opponent, so we're doing a lot of preparations by the time the postseason comes. The Detroit Pistons still have actually a long way to go before they can be playoff contenders again. They need to figure out how to make their rebuild like very fruitful, because they have a player that can play heliocentric ball like Cade, and a great secondary ball creator like Jaden Ivey. Jalen Duren is a capable starting center, and as you can see right there, Ausar Thompson with his hyper athleticism and his hustle on defense. They have a good team. It's just that their pieces haven't panned out as of right now. They had like a 28-game losing streak earlier this season, and people are saying, "Wow, this is one of the worst teams in the NBA of all time." But eventually they've been improving, and they somehow don't even have the worst record in the East anymore. This belongs now to the Washington Wizards, and there have been memes that are being made about them, like the funniest one being Wingstop. And in every game that they would post the final scores in their losing streak, the Wingstop logo would switch places. And it came to the point where when the Pistons finally won their game against the Raptors to end their losing streak, Wingstop was filled with customers. And people were saying, "Pray for the employees of Wingstop, they're not going to bear all the long lines." And it makes it especially funny when Kyle Kuzma posted on Twitter about the Celtics losing to the Pistons in the first half. He said, "It's like, you shouldn't be that team." And after the Wizards had the worst record than the Pistons right now, that tweet is actually being sent back to him. It's like karma. Now, 3 minutes in, we're still running the zone against Ausar. He tries to drive the paint. I deny it. Now, Jaden Ivey has nowhere to go. Stewart actually shoots that. Jaden Ivey gets blocked by Jovic. And we still leave Ausar Thompson open for 3. We're still daring him to shoot until he makes us pay. And you also got a feel for Detroit fans, as their team is also experiencing a major losing streak in the playoffs as well. They got swept by the Bucks in 2019. They also got swept by the Cavs in 2016. They haven't won a game since the Boston series back in 2008. That was in the conference finals as well. And Detroit fans are in the slumbers right now. They want to relive the Bad Boys era from back in the 1980s. And they also want to win a championship again, like the one back in 2004 where they upset the Kobe Shaq Lakers. And that championship was a shocker to the entire basketball world. It was very much a shocker to the point where it was the end of the Kobe Shaq era in LA. And it exposed a lot of the former beef that the two had, and it led to Shaq going to the Miami Heat. Pistons even tried to do a repeat in 2005, but they lost to the Spurs in 7 games. So they couldn't exactly live up to the glory days in the 1980s with Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars. They did make a lot of conference finals back in the pre-2010s, but ultimately they could not get back to the championship level. Pistons right now, they still got a lot of work to do to become a playoff team again. They're just going to have to hope Cade stays healthy and Ivy and Duran can take the next level, and for Assar to get a jump shot. That's all they need to do to progress. Oh, look at Bam! Look at that poster! Wow, that is such a great play, great executed play, and Bam Adebayo just did a putback, no, alley-oop poster again.